So when deployment was in Yemen, we were doing a lot of special reconnaissance, Overwatch, Sniper Overwatch. Ground Brain CIA was there, so we were doing some work with them, which was a great deployment. We were going out like twice a week doing special reconnaissance type stuff. And this was like July at that time. And my sister was like, hey, Dad's getting pretty bad here. And my neighbor texted me, and he's like, I went over to your dad's house next door, and they found my sister in a pool full of blood.
Fuck, man.
In the bathtub. And my dad carried her out to the ambulance, and while he was high. So I think that fucked him up even more. And then she got back home, and then she asked me to come home early. And I was like, I'm a point man, my platoon. If I leave and the number 2 man comes and somebody gets killed, that's my fault. So I battled with that decision for a while. And then I asked my chief, I was like, hey, bro, I think I need to go home. And he's like, dude, go home. So I got a flight home.
Man.
Yeah.
How many months or how long were you into deployment at that point?
So March, I was on 4 months in.
4 months.
And I didn't tell my dad I was going to come home. I wanted to just surprise him to see what kind of state he was in. And flew home, and he was on a 5-day meth bender, talking to shadow people, talking fucking crazy shit. I was like, damn, my sister couldn't get out of bed because she was bedridden. And I was like, it's unsafe for you guys to be here. I'm going to get you a hotel room. So I moved them to a hotel room. And I was like, Dad, I'm going to be back in a few days. I have to check into the team. Went to the team. Was at it for 2 days. Was at a Padres game with my best friend. And then I got a FaceTime call from my neighbor. And I was like, picked up the phone. I was like, fuck. He never FaceTimes me. He's never called me. He's never done anything. And I picked up the phone, and my house was engulfed in flames. And not engulfed as in like this small house fire. The whole house was fucking torched. And I was like, is my fucking dad in there? So I drove home. They put the fire out. Got there at like 1 a.m. And I was there by myself just looking at my house where my dad Boston Marathon, the picture, all that stuff. And I was just sitting there. I walked through the whole house where I lived, and everything was fucking torched and just carnage, and everything was broken.
Was your dad inside? We can take a minute. I mean, you have to.
I'm good. You could send it. I don't want you guys to cut any of this. Just leave it raw. Yeah, he was inside in the smoke, and my neighbor across the street was like, Bill, get out of the house. And he's like, no, there's people in here. I need to save them. There was no one inside. He was talking to fake people. And you got smoke inhalation. And then eventually he walked out, and he was like shirtless. They found paraphernalia on him. The cops came, and he got arrested for felony arson. So he went to jail for a while. And my whole family was broken.
Yeah.
And I've never felt so much hatred towards my dad ever. My dad's the best human being ever. And I was so fucking mad at him. Because I was like, if I didn't come home early, my mom, my sister, and my dad all would have died in the house fire.
Yeah.
So.
That's fucking, that's heavy. Super heavy. I mean, I'm emotional hearing it, you know. I can't even imagine. So I guess from a situation standpoint, did your dad start the fire intentionally, or was it a carelessness thing, or do you know?
Well, now that the charges are done with, basically he was talking to people that were there for hours, like, get out of my house. He's talking to fake people. And for him, he was trying to smoke signal for help. That's how fucked up he was. And, he ended up lighting up house.
Yeah. Did your mom and your sister, I guess taking one step back, the incident where your sister was in a pool of her own blood, she survived. What was the blood? Was it an intentional suicide attempt, or was there a medical issue?
So she had Crohn's disease, and you start bleeding uncontrollably.
Oh, okay.
So her blood count was super low, and she was just laying in the bathtub. She basically had no pulse, and she was dead.
Yeah. Wow.
And then she ended up surviving, and then went back to the house.
Yeah. So not long before that, you had put your mom and sister in a hotel. Did you contact them to tell them what had happened, or did they already know, or what? How did that go?
I think I was the first one to tell them after my neighbor FaceTimed me. And she was just heartbroken.
During the, I guess we'll call them relapses that your father has experienced, how have you talked or had you talked to your mom about her role, position, tolerance? I mean, I hate to even say tolerance because I know it's oversimplified by saying that, but that's kind of the reality, is that, you either allow something to happen or you don't. I mean, it really kind of is that black and white. And did you guys have any in-depth conversations about that and what her take on it was and what she should do or not do or any of that?
My mom's so loving and loyal. She's like the sweetest soul ever. She basically was ignoring the situation. When she was seeing the drug abuse stuff, she would just turn the blind eye. Oh, if I look over here, then it's not happening. So she was ignoring what's happening. And I was gone on deployments. I was in the SEAL teams. So I wasn't there to be like, Mom, you need to get out of this relationship.
Yeah.
So she was ignoring the problem.
That was actually your advice to her, though? Was you should leave your dad?
Not until after. I was telling her, hey, Mom, open your eyes. And you can't shy away from the problems. You can't look away. The problem's still there. You have to face them head on, get into those uncomfortable talks and situations in order to grow and to get out of the bad stuff.
Yeah.